messages keep getting clearer. Radio's on a moving around my place. I check my look in the mirror. Wanna check my hair, my clothes, my face. Man, I ain't getting nowhere. I'm just living in a dump like this. There's always happening somewhere. Oh baby, I know that there is. You can't start a fire. You can't start a fire without a spark. This gun's for hire. Even if we're just dancing in the dark.
What the hell is he doing? What?
You can't start a fire without a spark. This gun's for hire. Even if we just dancing in the dark. Dancing in the dark.
What were you doing?
I was dancing.
I can see that.
Dude, I'm good. I'm
I
getting.
looked in the mirror back there and I'm like, what the hell is he doing?
Look in the mirror.
There you go. Look
My
in the mirror.
hair, my clothes, my face.
I don't think you're an American Idol contestant.
Yeah, I'm getting my 80s on, man.
You are getting your
Look at
80s
this.
on.
My Springsteen, baby.
So am I.
Yeah, look, Springsteen. What great lyrics. Inspirational, the man. The man is everybody's sort of working class guy. You can get into him. You love the music. Inspires. In fact, talk about inspiration. We saw a movie that had
Was inspired by Bruce Springsteen.
By Bruce Springsteen. Yes, Blinded by the Light, guys. We are talking about this movie based on a true story.
Mm-hmm.
Now, interestingly enough, because I really enjoyed the trailers. I thought it looked really interesting. And, there's been so many sort of music movies to come out this year, man. I mean, whether we're talking about Rocket Man, Yesterday.
Star is Born.
Well, Star is Born was last year.
Oh, okay.
But still, I mean, there's been so many music things to come out in the past even couple years, like a Bohemian Rhapsody as well.
Yeah.
That this is just another one, but maybe it kind of got lost in the fold a little bit. But still something that looked really interesting and worthwhile to check out, at least for me. Where do you want to start with Blinded by the Light, sir?
This is a very interesting movie. I had to think about this one.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it. And what I'll talk about the first is the plot, because it's not.
Yes.
This kid is very Pakistani, I should say.
Javid.
Javid. He's very Pakistani. His family, you have to very much in their culture. Listen to their music. Do what the father says. His father's very much the captain of the ship, as you say.
Yeah.
Runs the household. Everything has to be what he says. And all his children listen to him. Well, not all of them. Not Javid. Javid doesn't listen, and he's going to do his own thing. And, and it shows where he's listening to the Indian music, then he starts listening to Bruce Springsteen, and it changes his life.
Well, here's the thing about Javid. Well, this takes place in 1987. Just a sort of backdrop of what's going on here. 1987 in England at the time, London or England around there. And basically, it's the time of the Prime Minister,
Margaret Thatcher.
Margaret Thatcher, yes. And that, that there's sort of a divide going on, and the idea that a lot of jobs are going away and people are losing their jobs and their livelihoods. And his father is somebody who is like, look, you have a summer job, you give me the money. And, we support the family. That's what it is. I want you to focus on school. I want you to focus on your life here. don't have fun or don't anything because that's not the path to success. The path. Other people may follow that path, but not you.
Yeah.
And very strict. And Javid just feels like he doesn't have a voice. He doesn't have a place in this world. He feels like, like life is just passing him by, and he's so frustrated, and he just feels like things are just falling apart. And suddenly this guy at school is like, hey, you know what? Bruce. Gotta listen to Bruce Springsteen. Bruce is sort of the answer to all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like...
And back then, Bruce wasn't popular because Bruce was for the older generation.
Well, that's what people thought, which is really weird because 87, you would think that he would still be popular at that point.
He was popular in the 70s and the 80s. He lost his popularity, then he gained it back again in the 90s. I looked it up.
This is very true.
You know how some artists, every decade, it changes?
Okay. And for Bruce Springsteen is one of them.
Yeah.
But the idea that he listens to this music, not really thinking it's going to really change his life, and suddenly he's hearing these lyrics, and it's like, my God, Bruce speaks to me. Mm-hmm. He speaks to he knows my struggles. Oh my God, this guy, he's just like me. And suddenly he's listening to these lyrics, he gets inspired by them and just learns to be sort of himself finally, and it just everything springs from there, man.
Well, the thing in the trailer is he becomes a better writer.
Absolutely.
You see in the trailer he's a writer. I mean, that's we're not going to spoil it here. It's a writer. He has all the poems, throws them out, thinks they're worth nothing.
Sure.
Gives it to the teacher. Teacher's like, this is you. This is raw. You have a talent here.
Yeah.
So because he was introduced Bruce, he becomes a better writer. He becomes more confident in himself, and he does things he never thought he would do.
Absolutely. And it's a very interesting thing here because, just talking about an artist for a second, somebody like Bruce Springsteen, Bruce he was sort of the working class kind of guy that you
Absolutely.
could get into. If you really think about 87, the time 87, it was, I think, like Debbie Gibson, and it was all of these sort of pop people, and pop is not bad, but it felt like, there was not a voice for the working man or the common everyday person. And every so often there is music that really speaks to somebody. And, we've talked about it before, how with certain artists, the music is instantly recognizable, but the lyrics, once you really get into the lyrics, you really find, especially for certain artists, that there's a lot more inspiring words in there than people may realize.
Well, I said this before after we saw the movie. There's a difference between hearing and listening.
Yes.
You can hear a song, but when you listen to a song, it's completely different.
Exactly. And I think that's where I think Bruce Springsteen is really interesting, because once you get down to the core, and I was looking up Bruce Springsteen lyrics, and I'm like, wow, this guy can be really hard-hitting and really inspiring. You just got to give this guy a chance. And I think that's what it is giving him a chance, and then it will open the door for you, and just listening to what this man has to say. And that's what Javid does.
Absolutely. As I said, he becomes a better writer. Kind of becomes disconnected from his family, which he had to be able for his family to accept him.
This is because it's kind of interesting because, as you said, the political spectrum in 87 really sort of mirrors what we're dealing with now.
Well, what you had is before Margaret Thatcher, and Margaret Thatcher was kind of similar to a Trump. And when I mean that, before that, you had mass immigration. So you had a lot of Pakis and a lot of Indians and a lot of Muslims from many different countries come to England.
Yeah.
And then she came over and she kind of was like Trump. She wasn't against it, but she kind of was in a way.
Yeah.
And she kind of, because she was the leader of the country, a lot of people said, well, we want him out of our country. We want him away. She kind of was, they were the scapegoat. They were blamed for a lot of things.
Yes.
And that's why a lot of people hated him. You saw a lot of horrible things done. So for him, it wasn't just about him being a writer, which was difficult. It was about him being a Pakistani writer.
Yes.
And how hard it was being Pakistani and what he has to go through and the struggles. So I think the music was great for the movie because it showed it's not only white people interested in the movie. It's all different people are interested in Bruce Springsteen. It touches everybody, no matter what culture you are.
Well, it's interesting because he's living in a time where you literally have these
neo-Nazis.
Yeah.
They're literally spitting on him. You have kids that are pissing, on these Pakistanis like
Which they
doorsteps,
showed in the trailer.
Where they showed in the trailer, and there's even a scene. We won't spoil it, but there's even a scene towards the end of the movie where there's something that happens while he's trying to get Bruce Springsteen tickets.
Oh, yeah.
That really sort of is like, wow, this, it's like, talk about how, like, just how much hatred there is, and how that these Pakistani people feel like there's nobody that's giving a voice to them. And that's why I think Bruce Springsteen really hits so hard for Javid, because he's like, wow, he may not look like me, he may not have the same skin as me,
but he speaks
to me. And that's very important. It's interesting because he loves his family.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you do have to pull yourself away.
You have to disconnect to kind of make your family appreciate you more.
Exactly. And I feel like with his writing, whether it's the teacher really encouraging him, or him finding a girl in his life,
which changed things
as well, I think it makes him gain the confidence to do these things that he wouldn't have normally done. Because Javid is a very shy guy.
Mm-hmm.
He sees his friend with this girl, and he's kind of like...
What's the thing? I don't think Bruce just affected his writing. It affected his whole social life.
Absolutely.
Him making friends, him getting a girl, his life with his family. It just changed who he was for the better.
It did. And I got to admit here, as I said... The music's phenomenal here.
Absolutely.
The music's phenomenal. It's not just Bruce. It's just all of the 80s tunes and everything. I'm a huge fan of the 80s music from back in the day, and this had a glorious amount of it. Not only that, but I thought the acting was all really good.
Yeah, I did want to get to that. The acting, the chemistry between, I don't know his name, Javed, the girlfriend. These were a lot of actors that were not well known.
No.
And they touched me because there was the chemistry between him and his best friend, and him and the guy he meets in school, another Pakistani guy. The chemistry was just, I thought it was great. I thought it made the plot flow smoothly. And even the family shows the tough Pakistani family, who played the father, the mother. It really all tied. The acting is what really solidified this movie. The plot was amazing. I thought the plot.
Oh, it was great.
But the acting was what really brought the movie together.
The acting is, I think everybody does a really great job. A lot of these people are either completely unknowns, or they've done stuff in in Indian cinema, but hasn't really translated here to America. The only one that I really know of offhand is Haley Atwell, who played the teacher.
Yep.
And she had been in some of the Captain America movies and everything, playing Peggy Carter. So, I mean, that was great to see her in here. But everybody did a spot-on job here. They really honestly did. And, again, this is based on a true story, and they do show pictures of the real-life people. They show the fact that he's actually met Bruce Springsteen
many times.
Many times. And he's just been really affected by him and everything. But, it really, to me, it's a really great movie about, not only is it very infectious with the music and everything, because you really it gets you in a feel-good mood.
Yeah, but what I wanted to say about the acting is you get emotionally involved with these characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Some movies you don't. I would have to say, like superhero movies and other movies, there's no emotional connection. Here, you kind of feel what the actors are feeling. You kind of get emotionally connected to them.
Well, that's what the idea of, you have certain things like a feel-good movie. But there is, with the acting, as you said, there is things here like, for instance, like just the social structure of a family, like a Pakistani family, and the idea of a social structure in the idea of, well, you can be an accountant, or you can be sort of a lawyer, you can be something like that, but you can't be a writer because, our people just aren't writers. And it's social structures like that, and it's the acting that makes you believe that these people are very earnest in the way they're thinking, because the father's not wrong. He's not a bad guy here.
No.
The father's not a bad guy. Yes, he's the man of the house. He's the one who people follow, but he's just doing his best for the family. It's not the fact of like he's trying to be mean going against his son. He's just like, this is what the social structure is.
And this is how it's been for 50 years. Why are you trying to change it?
Exactly. I like that idea. I like that idea of, even the mother says towards the end of the movie, she's like, well, when you left, your father was probably pissed off at you. Well, why did you do? Well, I wanted to break free. I wanted to, improve things. Well, that's what he's wanting to
Exactly.
do. Sometimes we forget the lessons of when we were younger, and we have to be reminded,
Of them through our children.
of them through our children. And I think that's a really, really fantastic message, and I think it comes across beautifully here.
Absolutely.
I honestly do, guys. These messages, they don't get lost. They're highlighted in the film, and they really make you appreciate these themes so much, guys. They honestly do.
And you also, it kind of makes you relate to this time, which I wanted to say really quickly. When you see the immigration, you see all the people, and you see the hatred, you see that in this country.
Yeah.
So that's why I also felt emotionally connected to the movie. Yes, Bruce Springsteen. Yes, the acting. But also say, this is very relatable to our time. When you have a movie that was based on something in the 80s, but you can relate to it now in the 2000s, it's like, wow, this is so similar to what's happening now in our country.
I agree. So, along with the, the great drama and the great sort of family dynamic stuff, you do have, the comedy aspects of this movie, too.
Absolutely.
Now, I think a lot of times, this is just me, I think a lot of times when you have sort of a family drama here, you're mixing a family drama with sort of a musical in some ways, with also the comedy. There's some movies that fail completely.
Mm-hmm.
There's some movies that fail completely. Truth be told, did you think the comedy worked here?
I thought the comedy worked. I thought the good mixture of comedy, drama, all the dynamics of the movie, I think it just hit the nail right in the coffin,
I mean, I don't think it's so. See, what helps this movie is that it is in the 80s, so you do have the big hair, you have the clothing, you have, the wonderful. They just don't make them like this anymore.
Cassette players.
Cassette players.
And that's one thing I don't want to say. They kept up with the times. A lot of times it's hard when a movie does a movie back to the 80s or 70s. The clothes are not there, or the cars, or they make a mistake in the movie, and people look at the mistake and say, okay, you're showing us something from this era. This makes no sense in 70s. And this movie, really, the cars, the phones, everything it really kept with the era.
And not only did they have to do that, but you also have to remember that they had to get that certain point in England at that time, whether it's the factories, whether it's, the big store signs that were very different. I mean, so much different stuff than here in America too. So it
wasn't just the 80s, it was 80s in England.
Yes,
so it was
exactly.
even harder. And they did a good job.
I think they did a great job here. I thought a lot of the comedy stemmed from that, and I thought it worked really, really well. I also really liked the camaraderie between all of him and his friends. Different dynamics, like one, his other Pakistani friend, who that dynamic was different than his white friend.
Absolutely.
Who was sort of a musician, and he would help write songs and everything. So all the dynamics, whether it was the difference with the father and everything, it was never the same thing with every group, which helped quite a bit. I will also say this, because yes, we were talking about Bruce Springsteen and the music. There is times in the movie when I won't go so far as to say they're musical moments, like they're outright like singing, but it's very much musical, as in like people start to dance and sort of sing a little bit.
So my favorite scene, which showed in the trailer, is when they're selling clothes at the this little stand, and they start singing. And I said, "Oh my God, that really!" I was so excited.
I saw you smiling.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
loved
oh,
that.
like you really loved it, man.
That was one of the reasons I wanted to see the movie. Is I saw that trailer and I said, "Oh my God, this is something you don't see in a lot of."
No,
it's different than a lot of other musicals. And I said, "This was a lot of fun." There was points in the movie where what I loved, you got angry, you got sad, and you were happy, all within a 10-minute period.
Exactly. It was like blah, 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 like a reverse thing, but it all works. And I just wanted to say that I don't know her name offhand, but the director of this movie, she directed Bend It Like Beckham, the soccer movie from back in the day, which also had like Indian people in it as well, and she's done a lot of more like sort of independent Indian type of work. Like the last mainstream movie she did was Bend It Like Beckham, so all those years ago. But that was a really great movie for its time, and I think this is another great movie for its time as well. It mixes in a lot of very important themes that are just as important today as they were back in the day. You have the great acting, you have fantastic music, you have a lot of great mixture of a lot of great elements coming together. Sometimes it doesn't always work, but does it work this time? What's your final thoughts and rating on Blinded by the Light?
I think the acting was phenomenal. I think the directing was phenomenal. I think the plot was phenomenal. I think sticking to the 80s era, 80s England, I really can't find fault in this movie.
Nothing.
I really can't. I said, this is a movie, I'm not going to give my grade rating yet, but I said, everybody, if you have a chance, see this movie, see it in the movie theaters, really go see it. I think it's kind of a life-changing movie. Those movies you see, and it just speaks volumes to you.
Yeah.
I saw this movie, as I said, a few days ago with Seth, and ever since I saw this movie, I was thinking about this movie, and I actually changed some things in my life after seeing this movie. There was little things, and Seth can even tell you tonight, little things I'm changing. So this movie really spoke to me and really said, okay, when you have a movie that not only speaks volume, you think about it after you get home with the movies, and then you look at your own life and say, what can I change? I said, that's a movie that everybody would see. And because of that fact, I've not seen a movie like this since Forrest Gump.
Wow.
And Philadelphia. Those two movies, Philadelphia and Forrest Gump, which really made me, those were amazing movies that made me think, I haven't seen movies like this. I'd have to give this A+++, meaning it was one of the best movies I've seen probably in the last 10 years.
Wow. Well, there's been some movies that we've done review for that you've definitely given A+ to.
Never A+++.
No, not A+++++.
Yeah, this was just an amazing movie. I don't think I'm going to see another movie like this in 10 years. This is real. I say, if you get a chance to see it in the movie theaters. Amazing movie.
What's interesting about this film is that, the problem with putting these type of movies out is in the summertime, this movie unfortunately is getting drowned out.
Yeah, absolutely. With all the other bigger movies.
With all the big summer blockbuster movies that are coming out, unfortunately, this movie really deserved better. It deserved maybe a fall release, or it deserved something that was really gonna maybe give it the support it deserved. They dumped it in summer, and that was a wrong thing to do because it's so wonderful of a movie. I left the theater feeling inspired. I left the theater feeling sort of good about the possibilities of the world.
So that's what it did for, see?
Yes.
Changed it.
Yes, it did. And I felt like this really gave me a lot of hope and inspiration, and it made me, re-fall in love with Bruce Springsteen. I was already in love with Bruce Springsteen and his music, but this made me fall in love all over again. It's really nice to realize that there are true stories like that in the world, that these people can overcome these odds and do the thing that they love, and also, you know, maybe inspire others. It's so wonderful, man. And this is one of those times, and I really do love this movie so much. It is really so wonderful, and it deserves everybody's attention. It
And it
honestly
awards
does.
every Academy Award if it gets nominated, every single one it deserves.
I don't think it's going to, unfortunately.
No, either do I.
But I think it deserves to definitely be recognized for sure, guys. You know, I know you guys love your summer blockbusters. You love seeing that stuff, but honestly, give the smaller films a chance because they deserve just as much love as the bigger ones, and this one definitely does. My grade rating is going to be a high A.
Oh wow, that's unusual for this guy over here.
It's a high A.
Very unusual.
It's not an A plus or a plus plus because again, there's some sequences or could have been maybe done a little bit better. Things like the musical sequences that are good, I think it may confuse people a little bit. And you know, with these type of movies with certain, like, you know, sort of certain types of people, maybe others might not really be into that as well, but it's an inspiring tale which definitely should be seen. So yeah, I definitely would give it a high A. Well worth checking out in the theaters, guys. Abso-freaking-lutely. Hey, what's up, man?
Just been stressed out of it lately. A lot going on.
You know, you need some advice, man. You really do.
I'm listening.
With tramps like us, baby, we were born to run.
Dude, how many times do I have to tell you? Your lyrics are rubbish.
I can't help you, brother.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You're just, yeah. Sorry, but
Well, you're the Bruce fan.
I'm the Bruce fan. Guys, hope you enjoyed the review. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up. Let us know what you think of Blinded by Light. Let us know what you think of other movies like it, what you think of Bruce Springsteen, and what you think of all of these really interesting music movies that have been coming out as of late. Definitely let us know, guys. And we will be back next time for another movie review with, sadly, less Bruce Springsteen, but, you know, in the meantime, I will enjoy what I can get for sure. Because, baby, we were born to run.
You're right. He did put me in a good mood.
See? I put everybody in a good mood. Take care, guys.